In the cold winds of the Andari wastes, love was not just rare, it was forbidden. Commander Ryan Holt, a human assigned as an off-world diplomat to the Andari Empire, had never expected to stay long. His mission was straightforward: stabilize negotiations, broker trade deals, and keep humanity out of Andari politics. But politics had a habit of dragging you in, whether you liked it or not. That's how he met her. Saran Vel, once a high-born daughter of the Vel caste, stood proudly among the Andari elite. But when her family fell from favor during a civil upheaval, she was marked as an outcast. Her kin exiled her to a border colony with nothing but her name, and even that had begun to tarnish. It was in that snowy exile where Ryan found her collapsed in the remnants of an abandoned bio-farm, wounded and half-frozen, after pirates raided her outpost. She should have died. But something about her refused to let go. So he didn't let go either. Beginning. The outcast and the soldier. When Ryan first carried Saran Vel back to the human outpost, everyone looked at him like he'd lost his mind. An Andari noble. After what they did in the orbital riots. After the Terran embassy bombings. He ignored them. He treated her wounds, fed her, clothed her, and never once asked what crime she might have committed to earn such disgrace. He only asked who she was, something no one else had done in months. "I am no one," she whispered during one snow-blurred night, her skin pale blue under human light. A broken air, discarded like spoiled meat. Ryan looked at her then, his eyes soft. "You're someone now." Saran Vel had been trained in diplomacy and warfare. Yet no training had ever prepared her for kindness without a price. Every time he gave, she expected the debt to be called. But it never came. Until the day she saw the first human woman kiss Ryan outside the comms bay. That's when something primal shifted in her chest. Middle. The shadow of desperation. She tried to ignore it. The jealousy. The fear. Saran Vel, proud Andari warrior, had nothing left to offer. Her caste ring was gone. Her family name was reviled. She had no dowry, no status. Nothing. Yet every night she found herself dreaming of him. Of laughter around fire pits. Of holding his hand. Of that rare look in his eyes reserved only for her. Like he saw her even when she wanted to disappear. Then came the recall order. Ryan had been reassigned. The embassy deemed his post a failure. He'd leave in 7 days. Panic consumed her. On the 6th day, she stood outside his quarters, soaked from the icy rain, body trembling with fear she'd never admit. She waited until he answered the door, and when he did, she dropped to her knees. "Please," she whispered, eyes wide, voice cracking with every syllable. "Marry me. I have nothing left. But if you go, I will have less than nothing." Ryan stared at her, stunned. Not because of the request, but because of the pain behind it. Ending. The marriage of fire and ice. "Saran," he said, kneeling in front of her, lifting her chin. "You think I could leave without asking you the same thing?" She blinked. "I've loved you since the day you called me a smelly primate, while bleeding to death in the med bay," he smiled. Saran let out a strangled laugh between tears. "That was not a compliment. I took it as one." Word spread like wildfire. An exiled Andari noble, Terran diplomat, and a scandalous union formed not by treaty or power, but love. The Andari High Senate threatened sanctions. The human delegation called it reckless. But Ryan and Saran didn't care. Their wedding was held on neutral ground, beneath the ice-lit skies of the boreal plains. No family came. No politicians. Just soldiers, outcasts, healers, and those who knew the value of kindness. Saranvel, who had once believed love was a weakness, now stood tall beside the only man who ever saw her as more than a title. And Ryan, who came to Andar as a pawn in a political game, left with something far more powerful than status. A partner who would burn empires to protect him. Final words. In the darkest corners of the galaxy, love can still rise. Uninvited, unplanned, and unstoppable. And sometimes, when an alien woman drops to her knees, it's not because she's broken. It's because she finally found someone worth kneeling for. As the cold rain pelted down on Saranvel's trembling figure, Ryan's heart pounded in his chest. He had never seen this level of desperation in her eyes before. She wasn't the proud, confident Andari noblewoman she once was. She was a woman who had been stripped of everything. Her family, her title, and even her sense of self-worth. Now she was on her knees, begging him for something he never expected. "Please," her voice quivered. "I have nothing left. If you leave now, I will be completely alone. Please, marry me." Ryan's breath caught in his throat. He had known this day would come, but he hadn't expected it to arrive in this way. He had always known she was strong, independent, and proud, but underneath it all, he saw the vulnerability she had buried so deep for so long. He kneeled down in front of her, his eyes searching hers. There was no anger, no fear in her eyes, only a raw, heart-wrenching plea for something he had never thought he would be the one to offer. "Saran," he whispered, his voice barely audible above the storm. He gently cupped her face in his hands, lifting her head so that their gazes met. "You think you're asking for something impossible, but I need you to understand something. I would have asked you the same thing if I thought you needed it. Love you. You're not alone anymore." Saranvel blinked, confused by his words. "What do you mean?" Ryan's lips curled into a small, tender smile. "I never saw you as just an alien princess or an outcast. I saw you as a woman who fought for survival, who risked everything just to keep breathing. I've fallen in love with that woman." She gasped, her lips trembling as she slowly processed what he said. For a moment, she was speechless, caught in the unexpected warmth of his words. "But I'm nothing," she said, tears spilling from her eyes. "I'm nothing without my title, without my family. You deserve more than this. You deserve someone who can offer you everything." Ryan shook his head, a look of determination in his eyes. "I don't want someone who's perfect. I want you, just as you are." Saranvel, still kneeling on the cold, wet ground, felt a weight lift from her chest. She had spent so much of her life living under the shadow of her family's expectations, of her people's demands. But Ryan, the human soldier, saw her as she truly was, flawed, vulnerable, and in need of love. Without a word, Ryan extended his hand to her. "So, what do you say? Will you marry me, Saranvel? Will you give me the honor of sharing your life, just as you are?" Her breath caught in her throat. Her body shook as she stood, trembling in front of him. Slowly, she took his hand, feeling the warmth of his touch seep into her cold fingers. A smile, fragile and uncertain, formed on her lips. I will marry you." Ryan pulled her into his arms, and she let herself fall against him, her tears soaking his chest. She wasn't sure what the future would hold for them, but in that moment, she knew she wasn't alone anymore. She had someone who loved her for who she was. Not for her title, not for her lineage, but for the woman who had fought so hard to survive. As the storm raged on around them, Ryan held her tightly, vowing that no matter what came next, he would always be there by her side. Final words. The path to love had never been easy for either of them. For Ryan, it had been a slow discovery, a realization that love could blossom in the most unexpected places. For Saranvel, it was a leap of faith, a step into the unknown after a life of rejection and hardship. Together they had defied fate. In the end, Saranvel had learned that love was not about titles or status. It was about vulnerability, trust, and the willingness to stand by each other, no matter the odds. As they walked into their future, hand in hand, they knew that nothing could tear them apart.